Hey y'all, my name is Jeannie. If you are new here and if you're coming back, thank you so much for coming back. I'm so glad you stopped by today. So today I just thought that I would keep things kind of simple on my brain. Like I'm working on some cottage journals, and you know me, if you know me, I'm doing 900 things at one time. Spring, Easter, still cottage journals that I started like in January. Like what? Anyways, it's April and I need just a quick project, something that I can get something done and listed for sale, and then, in the meantime, work on the other cottage journals. So I thought this was the perfect time to pull out these were like junk journal kits that I had ordered. Oh my goodness, probably 4, maybe 5 years ago now, from my friend Lynette over at Cheaply Chic. And yeah, she was just selling some, my goodness, that has been a long time, I feel like. But anyways, she went ahead and put these together. I mean, basically everything's done for me, right? I just need to cut them down to size and bind them in the signature. She's even went ahead and clipped in everything. So instead of complicating this, you're probably laughing if you know me or if you watch me, because you're like, you're going to complicate it. You're going to find a way to complicate this. But I'm going to try to keep this super simple and just put these together, not add a bunch of stuff in with it, and just keep it how it is. I fell in love with them by watching her flip through them, right? So that's the whole reason I bought them. And back when I bought them, I only had one grandchild on the way, and it was a boy. And since then, there have been 5, 3 boys, 2 girls. So I really, really want to do these for myself, but after much, much thinking about it and thinking about how I literally have two empty journals that I still have not put photos in, I think that I might actually make these and post these for sale. And then I feel like if I want to do another Little Men or Little Women journal at some point, I can do that, right? I feel like I could, you know what? I don't know if I'll ever find these books again. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see when I'm done. If anyone is just like dying to have it and they're like, I have to have that journal, we'll see. I do take reservations for journals. We'll see if I get any bites, I may sell it, but I don't know. That's a tough one. But anyways, I think I'm just going to dive right in. So my dilemma is, she has already put these together, right? Like I said, all I have to do is cut them down. And since she's already attached all the things inside, it shows me that these will not be to alligator mouth if I were to bind them as is. But I know that if it were me personally working in these, they're going to grow as I add photos and embellishments or whatever. So I'm thinking I'm going to cut the spines off. Oh, those spines would be so pretty on a bookshelf though. But I think I'm going to cut these off and extend the spine some, and then maybe make little bookmark dangles. Leah at Thrifty Day always makes little dangles from her spines. So cute. Chunky charms, so cute. So I think I'll give that a try. But for now I'm just going to flip through and refresh my brain about what's all inside. I mean, oh my goodness, how cute is that? So cute. Such a cute paper collection. There's a fun postcard. I feel like I've pulled a couple things out of here, though, over the past few years. Like maybe the giant... I always want some of those giant green flashcards. And I feel like I may have pulled one of those out of here for a Christmas journal at one point. Love this super large grid paper. There's some fun paper. So some things have got a little bent. I've had them in a, just like an iris bin to protect them, but evidently they still got bent. I don't know how they probably got bent before I put them in my project box. Okay, so while I'm saying I'm going to keep it simple, y'all know I'm going to end up taking some of these book pages and making some cards. I'm going to end up doing my own thing, but oh, that paper, oh my goodness, that's so pretty. Look at the little kitty cat. Yeah, it's been a minute since I looked through these. And I feel like this is refreshing. Like this is just something bright and whimsical and childlike versus like my cottage journals are more shabby chic style. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, with the laces and the trims. And I'll put trims on these, but I don't think I'm going to keep them too frilly and lacy. Well, again, we will see if I can keep from filling them full of randomness. Look, she's already done the stitching. That's fantastic. Maybe, we'll see. Maybe this could just be a one-day project for me. Love those little tickets. And then looking in the boy one, or the little men one. Honestly, what led me to pulling these out is I'm working on, and if I've already showed this, y'all, I've started this over a few times and I don't think I've shown this yet, but I'm working on this color theme of cottage journals now. And so I thought, you know what? While I have all the primary colors out, I'm going to go ahead and get these out. And my daughter-in-law's birthday is in May, and I think I'm going to make her like a farm little boy journal. I've made my girls' journals, and my niece, I just made a journal at her baby shower. My daughter-in-law's like, hey, I would like one. But, you know, when she first came in the family and stuff a couple years ago, like I just didn't know her very well yet, and I didn't know if she would like something like this, and honestly, she was really young. I didn't know if she would even care to keep up with, this kind of thing. So now that I've, fell in love with her and had a chance to know her, yeah, she would love it to document the boys. And fun fact that I remember, I've never done, okay, I did one farm type journal many years ago, long before YouTube even, for me, before I started YouTube. I think this is my 5th year actually, but I had made a little golden book. I made a Peter Pan journal, and then I made a little red hen one for my sister-in-law, and it was more farm themed. She has 2 boys. But since I started YouTube and since I've been creating to sell, I don't think I've ever done a farm themed. And I had so much fun stuff that my girl Carla, Carla Frizzell, sent me years ago. Just fun farm themed fabrics and papers. And it's past time I need to do one of those. So I usually try to pull out similar colors when I'm working on, even if it's a million projects. So it's looking like it's going to be those primary colors. Look at this book page. Oh my goodness. So much fun. This is so cute. This is one of those journals I feel like you watch somebody flip through and you just want to dive in it and put photos in it immediately. Which maybe it would motivate me to start doing that more if I would actually get them put together. But All right, so that's the little men one. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in and see what I decide on. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and I'm going to cut the spine off. I was going to do them both at the same time, but I'm scared. I'm so spacey sometimes, y'all, and I'm scared I'm going to end up sewing in like the girl and the boy one or something. Wouldn't that be funny? Have the little men and it be all the wrong thing. That would be horrible. So we're just going to do this, do the surgery. So obviously, if you're new to this and you were going to cut the inside of the book out, hold on. You know what? Let me find an old book and I will show you. I found my book block, y'all. She sent the book blocks with him and I have not been able to find them. I only found the little men one. The little women one I pulled beside me one day to use because I feel like, you know, the words are safe, you know, and the images are adorable. I mean, look at that. But I don't know what I did with it, y'all. I've lost my tiny attacher. I've lost so much stuff, and that's crazy because I'm more organized now than I've ever been, and I'm still losing stuff. So there you go. I found these two books in my closet just now, and I bought this years ago, and it's a little book, like maybe 4 by 6, but I'm curious if anyone would be interested in purchasing a journal made from this. I feel like this would be so cute for just a little, just maybe, I would love to know your ideas. Like maybe don't add the laces and frills and stuff, but just do like the coffee dyed paper inside and it just literally be like a writing journal. In fact, I thought this was a story, but I think it's from 1964. I think it's just, like, what's that? Somebody wrote a Bible verse right there. Proverbs 13:24. Okay, so it just has, like, eating properly, clothes, the road to health, just random, I guess, information. Interesting. So there's that. But then this, I thought this would be such a fun book to also turn into just a writing journal. I don't know. I could see laces and trims on this one, but I could see tabs on this one and then maybe some laces on this one and just coffee dyed paper. But this would be a pretty spring journal. This is I feel like would be a fun book block to use too. Anyways, here we go, guys. So these older books tend to already be separated, fortunately, most of the time. So this one's going to be super easy, whereas, let's see. Yeah, that one's super easy. Sometimes they're kind of stuck to the back. But anyways, you just want to carefully, without cutting the spine, just kind of make a slit. You know, I just do it a little at a time so that I don't tear the pages too bad. And honestly, you can pull it really hard sometimes and it'll just come undone. So this actually has that book cloth behind it. So obviously you keep, you know, doing this just a little at a time until you get through that book cloth back there. So voila, that's out. I mean, obviously, if you're going to extend the spine like I'm wanting to do and not keep it, you know, a thin little journal, you can just go ahead and cut down through here. And that saves you a lot of time. But I kept the spine for now because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. But anyways, so there you go. There's the little book block. And I do not keep every one of these. I keep them if they're older, some of them. I had to come to a place last year where I'm like, okay, I'm getting older. I said that like I'm not going to be here. I mean, like, my husband and I are getting older. You know, we're in the empty nesting phase. You know, like, prayerfully, we will downsize our home at some point. And, you know, I just don't need to keep all the things. So, like, when I cut Reader's Digest book blocks out, I just give myself permission to keep 4 or 5 of those, and that's it. I toss them. Like, there's no reason to keep 100 of those. I promise you, you can find them all the time. Even if you have to go on eBay or something. But I come across those at thrift stores all of the time. Now, they might not be the cute covers. You might want to keep a special cover, but the inside, you can find an old book all the time at a thrift store. Okay, so, and let me just say that again. Covers, now I don't throw away covers so quickly. But the inside, I just keep me a couple to work off of. So I think, yes, I'm going to go ahead and cut this right here along the, right outside of this hard part. It's just thin paper in there. And it might be better to use this X-Acto knife right here. Yeah, I'm scared that's gonna, like, my blade's not really that sharp, so I don't want to mess it up. If you do mess it up, don't worry, you can always fix it. But so we've got the little spine here, and I'm going to go ahead and trim up right next to the edge there as much as possible. And then I need to decide how wide I want my spine. So I'm probably going to use cardstock, like a cereal box, and layer it up a couple times. I know a lot of people use Tyvek, like you can buy, I believe, at Lowe's, or like you can get at the post office in their envelopes. In fact, since this is an older book, I think I have an old envelope from the post office that I can cut up and put on top of some chipboard. Most of the time, I just use the chipboard. I'll layer it up 2 or 3 times, but if it's like a cereal box or something, or the back of a paper pad. But because by the time you reinforce it with a little fabric and all that, you know, it's not going to come off. But I think I'm actually going to try some Tyvek. All right, so I found one of these mailers and some chipboard, and I think I'm going to do this maybe let's see. So this was about, this spine was actually 1.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 inches. Honestly, I like a larger spine personally when I'm working in a journal. Let's see. Well, here's a couple of my personal ones, but I mean, obviously I work in all sizes, but as far as memory keeping, I feel like you can put way more embellishments and photos and stuff, so it won't have such an alligator mouth as you're working in it. See, this one's a little more narrow, but yeah, I tend to like them a little more wide. But, I mean, you know, to each their own. I've also filled up the One Signature journals many, many times, and they end up just fine. So, let's see what this one is. Yeah, that one's 2. I think I'm going to go with 2 inches. So, I'm curious. It is April something, 3rd, 4th. I'm not sure where I'm at, but I'm curious what the weather is where you are, because, oh my goodness, it's like so hot. It's in the 80s here, and that's crazy to me. for April, you know, to be that hot already. But supposedly next week it's supposed to be back in the 50s, which drives me insane because I'm fine. Once it's spring, I mean, you know, bring on the sunshine. I'm fine with that. I don't like it when it goes back and forth. Can't make its mind up. And now I lost my, found it, my mailer. Let's see. There's a part of me thinking, I think I'm actually going to do this a little bit wider. And let it act as maybe an underlayer to fabric, in the sense that, you know, it'll have a little bit more edge for the support around the edges. And then let's see how tall the cover is. So just over 8.5. And if y'all want to dull your blade really quickly, cut chipboard. Chipboard will dull your blade so fast, and yet I keep cutting with it. Will also dull your scissors, but so does paper. So I'm actually going to layer up 2 of these pieces. I don't think it was quite 8 3/4. Like, y'all, I'm horrible at measuring. Horrible. All right. So we've got the spine. Okay, so I love, 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 love Fabri-Tac, Fabri-Fix, 3-in-1 Beacon, all those. That's what I use mostly. I also use this Tombow Mono. I don't like it on the spine as much because it hardens when it dries, and so sometimes it makes it a little too stiff. If you're not going to be able to see through on the paper anything, Aileen's Original Tacky Glue all day long works best for things like this. As far as, mostly I use this, but I'm fine with using this on the base layers of stuff, especially the spine. It looks like it's stopped up on me. So I'm curious if you have kids, if they had spring break last week or this week. All my kids are out of school and college, and they're, well, I mean, a couple of them are still college age. One of them's already graduated. The other one went on, he works for a power company, so, and the other one, she stays at home. So that while 2 of them are still college age, they're not in school anymore, and, but I do have nieces and nephews that are in high school, and I like to spend time with them sometimes. So we went to the park last week. By park, I mean like where I live, we have like a waterfall. Like, I don't even know what you would call it. There's a waterfall there. It's an amazing, what's the word? Maybe like a, not a state park, but something you would travel to come see is what I'm trying to say. But of course, because we live here, we take it for granted and never hardly go. But we went last week with my nieces and nephews that were on spring break, and the grandbabies, my in-laws, my 2 daughters. It was just a fun time. And then I have another niece. She's closer to my age. She lives in Michigan, so she came, her and her husband and their 2 boys came down at the end of our last week, which was, their spring break is actually this week, so they were going through to stay at in Orange Beach, so they stopped through. I haven't seen them in 10 years. 10 years is the last time I went up there, and Yeah, they stopped by. We met them about an hour away from here and had dinner. My husband, my kids, the babies. It was so much fun. So far, spring is getting off to a fun start. All right, make sure you have the front of your book and the back in the right place. So this is why I left a little over, y'all. I'm obviously going to put it in the inside of these, but this is kind of, the way I'm explaining this is kind of backwards from how I would normally do it, if that makes sense. I'm kind of working from the inside out here. And to be honest, it's been a bit since I added a spine on a hardback book. So, like, usually you would put your fabric and paper down. You would put it like this, and then you would, you know, but I don't know if I want it like that or not. Let's see. I mean, obviously I'm going to put fabric over it, but I'm thinking I may actually do a hidden spine with these. I'm not sure. I don't have to do a hidden spine now since I took the actual spine off. By hidden spine, let me show you what I mean. So I did a hidden spine in this, so like you don't see the, you know, the stitching, and it's just a layer in here. And so the outside of the book, now these are soft cover, but same concept with hardcover, the outside of the book is what's on top. Do you see what I mean? So that's what I'm contemplating doing right now. But let me figure out what fabric I'm going to use and get right back with you. All right, so I've pulled some fabrics and we're going to make this decision together. Sorry, y'all, my camera's a little shaky. So, this being blue and orange and a weird shade of blue and orange is kind of throwing me off, but since it is a junk journal, I feel like it doesn't have to be super matchy-matchy. So, I could see this totally working. And y'all, so the hard thing about me doing the outside, so I don't want to cover up the little kids, but I might have to cover up one of them. We'll see. So there's that. And then, obviously I didn't take my book cover with me when I was going through fabrics. But this has that little bit of orange, seeing the flower. Well, that's kind of a brown. But I could see that working totally for a little boy journal. Then I have this neutral colored fabric. Which obviously it would be cut down even more than that, but so I have that. And while that's cute, I feel like that's, I don't know, that does kind of blend, but I don't know, I'm kind of wanting brighter colors, especially with the papers being so bright and fun inside. I feel like that's just too bland for this journal. And then I have this one. Nope. This one, oh my goodness, that's so cute. But again, I feel like if you don't love blue and orange, you can look past it if, you know, it's this vintage book cover. But if it's also on the spine, that you're going to be like, I don't know if I love it. But I think that matches perfectly. Decisions. And then we have this super fun quilted looking fabric. This is a tough one for me, y'all. Are you screaming at me which one? I don't know. I do not know. Maybe I need to do like an Instagram poll. This does not match at all, but I feel like it could work somehow. That matches, but it's not what I'm going for. There's a gingham, not the right orange. Here's, Okay, so I think it's between this one and this one. I know y'all are probably screaming at me. I'm not sure yet. All right, y'all, so I decided to go with the green and blue. I know that's probably not what most of you chose, but I feel like that's going to look the best if I want it to be an eclectic type kids journal. I actually text my crafty besties, but I have not heard back from them yet, so so I'm just going for it, y'all. I just can't spend all day trying to decide on what color I want my spine to be. And just to be honest with y'all, it's been probably about 30 minutes since I got off of here. I fixed me a little lunch and waited to see if anyone texts back their opinion. So we're going for it. We're going to just make it mismatchy. It's what I like the best anyway, so if I end up keeping this journal, then I will be perfectly okay with that decision. And I'm trying not to completely cover up these little guys, but I need the fabric to go over enough to make sure it grabs onto the cover. They're peeking through in the back. I'll probably put a piece of trim down through here. I'll probably put a piece of rickrack. I haven't decided yet. All right, and I'm actually just going to use this tacky glue for the inside because you won't see it, and it will hold if I can get it to come out. I feel like maybe this was one of the reasons I quit using this, because it's so hard to squeeze out. This bottle's probably been hanging out for about 4 years. And you can actually buy this at Dollar Tree too. Again, I wouldn't use it on my paper parts and things like that, you know, that are like to glue my ribbons and trims on, because this will wrinkle the paper pretty bad all day long, I'm sure, but if you're not going to be able to see through it, this will be just fine. So I've already talked about the weather. I know this, but I just looked and it's 84 degrees right now. Like, what in the world? It is April. And then that makes me feel guilty for being inside because, you know, it's like summertime. It's not summertime yet, but it feels like it. I'm going to get my bone folder here, and this is one of those tools that you didn't know you needed until you get, and you're like, how could you have lived without it? And be sure to pull that fabric super tight. Which I obviously did not right there. All right, so this has had a minute to dry. Just make sure that your fabric is glued or stitched. I would not recommend sewing on this hard of a cover. I have done it, but it broke my needle so bad. I do it on chipboard covers, but usually I'll do, like, I'll sew on the fabric and then glue it down if it's on a hard cover if I want the stitching effect. But there. See, I know that doesn't match per se, but I feel like it's, I don't know, that's my favorite. If I were to have this journal, this one's my favorite on here for a little boy. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and cut down all of these papers. So they need to be 5.5 by 8.5. Well, just under 8.5. And just under 5.5, so they don't hang off a whole bunch. So what I'm going to do is actually unclip all of these things. So anything that's loose, I'm just going to set aside, which I know it's going to make my job harder for me when I'm trying to put it all back together. But again, the purpose of a kit is to kind of just have it. You don't have to go gather all the things, right? So I'm going to go through and just remove all of these things and then cut them down to fit in the book. I had to stop and show y'all. This says Ginny Squirrel. Like, if this was ever me, there's my card, y'all. I'm taking this out because this is my card. I'm going to put it in a tiny little frame and put it either on my fridge or on my desk. How funny is that? All right, so I got them all cut down. Just a little word from the wise to the wise. How do you say that? So I don't recommend, unless you have a super sharp, amazing paper cutter, I don't recommend holding them like this and trimming them, because it's hard enough for me to trim things straight when it's one sheet. I don't understand why I always cut things crooked, even with a paper trimmer. But I did take them apart and do them one at a time. I also added in some book pages that I thought would be cute, of like little boy images, fish, Curious George. Just, y'all know I couldn't keep it simple, right? So I just added in a few more pages from books that I thought would be cute in a boy journal. So these are all ready to be bound in. But before I do that, I will go through and I will make sure, like, stitch up any pockets with the sewing machine. That any stitching I want to add, I'll go ahead and do that before I bind these in. So I will end this here. I know this wasn't a very informative video, and yeah, I'm just trying to start turning on the camera again, just doing random things instead of just flip throughs and estate sale hauls. And just trying to catch up and chat with y'all while I'm working. So I hope this inspired you. I will have a flip through of this at some point soon. Follow me over on Instagram, because you will more than likely see when journals are finished long before I post them on YouTube, or at least a couple days before. So now I'm going to get to work on the Little Women one. I have not decided if I want to put some rickrack here. I have some more of this blue trim like this. That would be cute. Yeah, I haven't decided, the final touches on the cover, but I just wanted to chat with y'all for a minute and say hi. So I hope this inspired you to do a quick project. And I will see y'all soon. Y'all have a great day. Bye.